first step is you always want to put your trim up first. So as we did here, we put the corner, and these are all pocketed trim. So you're going to be running in and terminating in the pocketed trim. Same with your blocks and vents. You need to plan for those as well to leave room for the movement. So we have what we call our two-piece trim. There's a receiver, and then there's a snap-on piece, the color matched final piece that you would snap on the end. But what that does for you is when you put all your trim up, you're putting your trim up first, but you're not creating yourself interference trying to get that panel inside these pocketed trims. So it leaves it all nice and open. You can kind of look, make sure you're getting your gaps proper. When you're finished, these pieces all snap in and lock in afterwards. So we'll show you when we get to that.
So this piece here, this is kind of an example of
Yes.
what would snap into that receiver,
Correct.
And then at the top wall here, we didn't talk about it at the bottom where we're going at an angle, but there's this piece right here, this first piece. And what is the function of this?
So this is our starter strip. So we developed and designed our own starter strip. It's a rigid PVC, so you don't have to worry about the corrosion factor, moisture issues with corrosion and that type of thing. Plus the way we designed it hides up in that backside nice, and it's a gray color, so it kind of shadows real nice, so it's not that shiny metal typical starter that people use. As these guys get going, you'll see the starter actually has a receiver hook on it, and your siding just sets in there and it has a leg on the back.
That looks like the starter strip.
That's your starter. As you can see, has the little hook here. And then you also have your receiver on your siding panel, and this locks right up into there like that. So it's nice and tucked in. It's nice and shadowed in behind there, and it gives you that gray cone.
It's pretty invisible. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty hard to spot.
So what you want to do is a floating system. So what you're going to do is we give you plenty of room on the slot, even though it doesn't move that much. We give you room, try to hit as close in the center of those slots. You don't want to fasten it tight. You want to fasten it down, give yourself a 30 seconds or so space between the head of that fastener, whether it be a nail, whether it be a screw. The other thing is use corrosion resistant type fasteners, but that way the panel can move freely. It's kind of nice.
It is pretty nice.
Easy to work with. One guy can carry it. When he loads it, you don't need two guys holding it. Once he gets it on there,
Yep.
he lets go of it.
That's it.
He's hands free. He can get his fasteners and go.
So we're doing a loose attachment. We're using a corrosion-resistant fastener, whether that be a nail or a stainless. It could be a stainless steel fastener, screw or nail.
Yep.
And not pinning it. We're letting. I just saw it. Watch
Yep.
Joseph make sure that it could slide a little bit
Yep.
back and
See
forth.
how
there.
he's making it slide back and forth. Yep.
And that accounts for the little bit of expansion and contraction that's going to continue.
Yes.
And that's throughout the life of the product that it's going to have that little bit of movement there.
During cold weather and hot weather,
big
especially
swings.
you're in a big swing climate range, you want to be able to have that float nicely.
All right, so Joseph is looking at us with anticipation. We've been chatting too much. He's ready to show us how to do a butt joint. And so this bracket is very special to your product.
Yes. So two things that you need to remember. One is it needs to float. Don't fasten it tight. Second is the joint. So the idea is we don't want these joints opening up, right? So we have a bracket, which we actually is a preloaded bracket, which is nice for the guys installing. They don't have loose screws they're dealing with. So the brackets, we actually changed the bracket so it has a little rubber grommet. It holds the screw in place. So if you see the brackets held, the screws are on there, you don't have to worry about it. And this grommet is only used to hold that screw. So I don't care what happens to that grommet once you tighten it. It's not used for anything but holding that screw.
It seems like a little thing at first, but I got to tell you, when we actually work with this product, having a bracket that's preloaded like that with the right length fastener, with that little neoprene gasket that can get deformed, it's not a big deal, is the difference between fishing for the right screw,
Yes.
right, and substituting for some other screw that might be too long, that might then go into the substrate and pin the product, keep it from moving.
Correct.
So the convenience of that, and then there's a little notch on it that you line up
Yep.
with. I mean, you've made it kind of dummy proof here, right? There's a notch
Yes.
line, you line that up, you screw this into the solid material, and then your other piece next to it, and that's it.
That's it.
And it won't separate.
And that's what holds these joints together, and the whole thing floats as one.
Now the board and batten install is a little bit different
Yes.
from the lap siding install, where
Yep.
we both are going to let them float. That's important for
Yep.
both of them. But the board and batten is a little different in where we we actually put the fastener towards the top.
Top of the slot. So what you're doing is you're planning for everything to expand up. So you want to figure out where you want the bottom to be. However you do that with how we're doing it with a transition, or you may do it with a belly band board, or you may just do a Z-flash. So you'll know where that is. Your first piece is actually your starter. So you do not need a starter strip with this. Always make sure you got a fastener in the bottom. Make sure you plumb it square, especially on that first one, and then the rest of it's pretty easy.
It goes up fast,
and
doesn't
maybe
it?
check a couple three courses down, make sure you stay in plumb and lock it in. Make sure you feel it net in. You can kind of feel it when you lock those two together. When he does the next one, kind of show him how that works there, buddy.
I love that David's checking each one of these to make sure that it's got some free-flowing action up there.
So when he puts this up, you'll get that lined in, and it'll kind of fit in. You can feel that, can't you, when it kind of nets in there? Looks nice.
Nice work, gentlemen. Thank you
Good
so
job.
much.